Lionel Messi sat alone on the pitch at MetLife Stadium. Spain were celebrating 20 feet away. His teammates were fighting Gavi and Rodri, and Messi sat there, alone, head down, tears on his face. And then he did something that shocked the entire football world more than any of it. He told the truth. They were better, to be honest. 4 words, from the greatest player who has ever lived, about the team that just beat him, in his final World Cup, on the biggest stage in football history. They were better, to be honest. Not the referee, not the conditions, not Argentina deserved more. Not we got unlucky. They were better. Full stop. Honest, clean, no excuses. And those 4 words exposed everything about what happened to Argentina at this World Cup final more clearly than any tactical breakdown, any statistics, any pundit analysis ever could. Welcome back to Robert's Football Talk. I am your host, and if you are new here, subscribe right now, because today we are going deeper than anyone else has gone on the Messi confession and what it actually reveals about Argentina's collapse in the biggest match of their lives. The stats that backed him up, the team that let him down, the golden boot he lost to Mbappe, the pitch moment that broke every football fan's heart, and the question that nobody wants to answer. Did Argentina let Messi down? Subscribe now. Let us go. Part 1. The confession that stopped the world. Let me take you to the moment. Final whistle. Spain 1, Argentina 0. Ferran Torres. 106th minute. Extra time. The defending world champions beaten. The first team in 64 years to attempt back-to-back World Cup wins, falling 1 goal short. Messi did not go to the tunnel. He did not put his head down and walk. He sat on the pitch, alone, in that vast MetLife Stadium with 82,000 people around him, most of them celebrating. He sat there by himself and absorbed the weight of what had just happened, and then he spoke to reporters. And instead of the diplomatic answer, instead of the "we gave everything and are proud of the team" answer, instead of the "we will come back stronger" answer, Messi said this: "I feel sad, but I am aware that we played our hearts out. They were better, to be honest. We lost the game, and we accept that. They were better, to be honest." Not a single Argentina fan wanted to hear those words. Not because they are wrong, because they are completely right. And hearing them from Messi's own mouth makes them impossible to argue with. Messi just exposed his own team. Not deliberately, not cruelly, but completely. Because the honest man in the room named the thing that the statistics had already proven and that every person watching the match had already seen. Spain were better. Completely. Overwhelmingly. Embarrassingly better. Subscribe to Robert's Football Talk right now before we go into the numbers. Because the numbers are the most damning thing anyone has published about Argentina since the final whistle blew. Now I want to ask you something. When Messi said those words, did you respect him more for being honest? Or did it make you sad that he was defending a team that could not defend him? Drop your answer in the comments right now. Part 2. The numbers that exposed Argentina completely. Here is what Spain did to Argentina in that World Cup final. And I want you to read these numbers slowly, because they are not the numbers of a close match. They are not the numbers of 2 evenly matched teams fighting for 120 minutes. Spain had 20 shots. Argentina had 2. Spain had 12 shots on target. Argentina had 0 in the first 90 minutes. 0 on target in a World Cup final. With Messi on the pitch, Spain had 65% possession. Argentina had 32%. Spain's expected goals were 1.94. Argentina's expected goals were 0.22. Spain completed 845 passes. Argentina completed 433. Spain had 9 corners. Argentina had 4. Emiliano Martinez made 11 saves in this match, a new World Cup final record. The reason that record exists is because Spain had 12 shots on target, and Argentina's goalkeeper had to make 11 extraordinary saves to keep the score at 0-0 until the 106th minute. If Martinez has a normal night, if Martinez makes the saves a good goalkeeper makes, rather than the saves a legendary goalkeeper makes, Spain win this match by 3 or 4 goals. Not 1. And Messi, the greatest player of all time. 8 goals and 4 assists across 7 World Cup matches. 12 goal contributions in the most remarkable individual performance by a 39-year-old in the history of football. In the final, he was invisible. Not because he stopped trying, not because he gave up, but because Spain built their entire tactical structure around one objective: make Messi irrelevant. Rodri and Zubamendi sat in front of Spain's defense and cut off every passing lane that could have found him. The entire Spain midfield was designed to stop the ball reaching Messi in positions where he could hurt them. It worked completely. Messi barely touched the ball in dangerous positions for 90 minutes. The greatest player of all time was made to feel like a spectator in a World Cup final by the most complete tactical performance Spain have produced since their peak between 2008 and 2012. And he sat on the pitch afterwards and said they were better, to be honest. Because they were. Part 3. Did Argentina let Messi down? The question everyone is avoiding. Here is the question that Sports Illustrated asked directly after the final. Did Argentina let Messi down? Let me give you the answer honestly. Yes, they did. Not Messi. Not Scaloni's decision to start in a certain formation. Not the individual players who gave everything they had, but the collective. The team performance. The inability to create without Messi. The 2 shots in 120 minutes. The 433 passes compared to Spain's 845. This Argentina team rode Messi to the final. He scored 8 goals. He provided 4 assists. 12 goal contributions from one player. Every time Argentina needed a moment in the knockout rounds, it was Messi who found it. The assists against England in the semi-final, the goal against Egypt, the leadership against Cape Verde when they were 2-0 down. But in the final, when Spain took Messi out of the game, Argentina had nothing left. No other creative force, no other player who could unlock a defensive structure, no other option when the primary plan was neutralized. The 2022 Argentina team that won the World Cup was different. That team had Di Maria, had McAllister playing at his absolute peak, had Alvarez as a genuine creative attacking threat alongside Messi. When teams tried to stop Messi in 2022, there were other weapons. In 2026, the other weapons were not at the same level, and Spain knew it. They knew that stopping Messi meant stopping Argentina, and they did exactly that. Messi gave Argentina everything. Everything. At 39 years old, he was their best player from the first match to the last, and the team around him was not good enough to win the final when Spain decided to eliminate Messi from the match. He said they were better, to be honest. What he did not say, what Messi will never say publicly, is that his team were not good enough to support him when the hardest opponent came. Subscribe to Robert's Football Talk right now and share this video, because part 4 is where this gets really painful. Part 4. The golden boot that went to Mbappe. The individual award Messi lost. Here is the detail that makes Messi's World Cup ending even more bittersweet. Messi finished the tournament with 8 goals. Mbappe finished with 10. Mbappe wins the golden boot. For the second consecutive World Cup, Mbappe wins the golden boot that many people felt should belong to Messi. In 2022, Mbappe scored 8 goals in the final alone with a hat-trick and still lost the World Cup to Messi's Argentina. That was Messi's tournament. He won everything. In 2026, Mbappe had 9 goals going into the final between Spain and Argentina. Mbappe was eliminated in the semi-final by Spain. He watched the final from outside the tournament, and he finished with 10 goals because he had scored in France's third-place match. Messi finished with 8. 2 goals behind. The golden boot goes to a player who was not even in the final. The golden boot goes to France's eliminated number 10, while Messi played every minute of a World Cup final and still could not catch him. And Rodri won the golden ball as the best player of the tournament. The Spanish captain. Not Messi, not Yamal, not Torres, Rodri. The midfielder who was the engine of Spain's complete tactical dominance. In Qatar 2022, Messi won the golden ball and the golden boot and the World Cup. In USA 2026, he won none of the 3 individual awards and did not win the World Cup. That is not a failure of Messi. That is the most extraordinary comparison between 2 World Cup campaigns any player has ever experienced, and it is painful in a way that only football can be painful. The man who was better as an individual in 2026 than almost any player in World Cup history. And he comes home with nothing except the memories. The pain is immense, and this wound will take time to heal. He wrote that on Instagram the day after. That was his truth, his honest confession. Not anger, not blame. Immense pain. Part 5. The pitch image that broke every football fan. Let me take you back to the image that every football fan in the world has seen and will carry with them for years. After the final whistle, Messi sat alone on the pitch. He did not go to the tunnel immediately. He did not join his teammates who were engaged in the confrontation with Spain players. He sat alone in the center of MetLife Stadium, while Spain celebrated nearby, and while the crowd noise swirled around him. 39 years old, in his final World Cup appearance, sitting on the grass of the biggest stadium in the world, alone with the weight of what had just happened. He had posted on Instagram before the match began, not after, before. As if he already knew this was the last time and wanted to leave something recorded before the result came. He wrote that the best part of all these years was never just the titles, but the journey itself. That whatever happens tomorrow, this group has already written a story that we will never forget and that no one can erase. He wrote that before the match, and then the match happened, and Spain were better, to be honest. And Messi sat on the pitch alone. He stayed in the United States after the final, while his teammates flew home to Buenos Aires, in Miami, where he plays his club football for Inter Miami, where he will return to MLS football on August 1st. The man who just played in a World Cup final is playing against Columbus Crew in 2 weeks. That transition, from a World Cup final to an MLS match against Columbus Crew in 13 days, is the most extraordinary ending to any football career chapter in the history of the sport. Not a retirement parade, not a farewell ceremony. An MLS fixture 2 weeks later, Messi accepted it all. The loss, the truth, the sitting alone on the pitch, the staying in Miami while teammates flew home, the immense pain that will take time to heal. He said they were better, to be honest. And in that honesty is everything you need to know about why Lionel Messi is and will always be the greatest player who has ever lived. Not because he wins everything, because when he loses, he tells the truth. Part 6. What Messi leaves behind. The legacy that cannot be reduced to one result. Let me close with this, because the narrative around Messi and this World Cup needs to be told properly. 8 goals at this World Cup. The Golden Boot leader until Mbappe's final goal. 21 World Cup goals in his career. The all-time record by 11. 3 consecutive World Cup finals. 1 World Cup trophy in 2022. 2 Copa America championships. 8 Ballon d'Ors. 4 Champions Leagues. 10 La Liga titles. The greatest player the sport has ever seen. He sat on the pitch in New Jersey and cried. And then he got up and said they were better, to be honest, and thanked his players and his country and congratulated Spain. That is the legacy. Not just the trophies. The way he carries both. Scaloni said it after the match. I hope that everyone feels proud of him, of what he has achieved, because he is the best football player ever to step foot on a pitch. The best ever. His own coach said it, in the press conference after the loss. Messi exposed the truth about Argentina's defeat. 2 shots in 120 minutes. A team that could not function without him when Spain eliminated him from the match. A red card from Fernandez that changed the game. A goalkeeper making a record 11 saves to keep them alive. He exposed the truth, and he took none of the blame. Because the blame was not his. He gave them everything. 39 years old, 8 goals, played every minute of every match. The best player on the pitch in every match except the final, when Spain specifically designed a system to make him disappear. They were better, to be honest. The most honest sentence anyone has spoken at this entire World Cup, and it came from the greatest player who has ever lived, sitting alone on the grass at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, on the last night of his Argentina story. That is the full breakdown. The confession that exposed everything. The numbers that backed it up. The team that let him down. The golden boot that went to Mbappe. The pitch image that broke every football fan. And the legacy that 4 words cannot diminish. 3 questions. Drop all 3 in the comments right now. First, did Argentina as a team let Messi down in the World Cup final? Second, is Messi's reaction to losing, sitting alone, then being honest, the most dignified response any athlete has ever given to defeat? Third, if this was Messi's last World Cup match, how do you remember him? Not the loss, him. Drop everything below. I read every single one. And this is the most important conversation we have had on this channel. This has been Robert's Football Talk. Hit that like button, share this with every football fan you know, because this story deserves to be told properly. Subscribe if you are not already here. New videos every single week. I will see you in the next one.